Good morning. Hope y'all are all doing well. We are going to switch gears today and kind of finishing up with trigonometry. There's still one little project I want us to do there, but and I think you'll like it. But we're going to switch to talking about 3D and volume. So I want us to think about when you first start measuring, you measured length, right? And like you might find the perimeter of something, like if you just look at the surface of this, I'd say, well, the perimeter is the distance that goes all the way around. And so that's this perimeter of the back of that box, okay? So that's the perimeter, that's the length. It's one-dimensional, so you just measure it one way. And then we might say, well, I'm going to two-dimensional and I want to cover something. I just want the surface to be covered. So I'm going to take the same thing and I'm just going to lay it on top. And how much flat area does it take? And when I order this, I would order it by the yard, but they would tell me how wide it is and then how long it is. So it's two-dimensional. So if I go by fabric, I'll say, you know, how wide is the fabric? If it's upholstery fabric, it might be a lot wider, 52 inches or something, I think. And then I say how many yards I want. This is the length. And so if we're doing like an area rug, we would call that square units. So if my daughters bought a house and they're looking at getting flooring, and so they think, you know, how many, it's, you know, $3.89 per square foot. So they're looking at a flat surface that's going to cover a square. They used to say square yards, so that was much bigger. That was, you know, 3 feet by 3 feet. But now they're selling in square foot because the price is less. If you give a price per square foot, it's less. So think about square inches. When we say square, we're looking at actual square inches. Where if I say just an inch, I'm looking at just the length. And so today we're going to switch to volume. And y'all have done these before. So here is a box. And it has, you know, if I was doing the area, it would have length and width. But now we've added depth to it. And that's going to tell me how much does it hold. And I could stack these up and I could build something. So we might have something like this, like a rectangular shape, or we might have a cylinder. So we know how to calculate the area of this, and I can measure the length of this, and I can take those two numbers and I can calculate the volume. So let's look at some notes. So this is usually a really fun lesson because we do a lot of hands-on. So I'm just going to introduce it and we're going to do some problems, and next week we'll see what we can do with some hands-on assignments. But I want you to think about, just as we said, length is from beginning to end, and I just measure that. I could take a ruler, or if it's something longer, a tape measure, and that's one-dimensional in length, and we can use metric or we can use our standard measures, and so we get that. And then area is actually, think about an area rug, and it's going to be divided up into little squares. So I might divide this one up into squares, and so it would have 3 by 3, and it's square units. Okay, so it's two-dimensional because it's a length here by another length. And so you notice that we put little exponents of squares, or we say square inches. I can also put square inches like this, or square feet like this. And y'all are familiar with these. And then volume. So now I'm going to take this, and I'm going to find out how many cubes make this up. How many cubes will make up this shape. And so it's three-dimensional. So I'm getting the length and the width, but also I'm getting this last one, which is the depth. So you're multiplying three things together, and so we have the 3 exponent. And again, if I'm doing inches, I would put inches cubed or feet cubed. So here's another little illustration. Just perimeter is the outside edge. And then area is a flat surface. And then volume has some height. Or depth. So let's look at this. These are our formulas, and I'm not asking you to remember them. I'm just asking you to use them. So we're going to use these different shapes, and we're going to just calculate. So you can look at this, and we're just gonna use this in hand with our worksheet. Now this is not the same worksheet you're doing, but I'm just gonna work 3 problems here. So this is the same as this cube. It's set up differently, isn't it? Like if we set this one up on its end, it would be the same. But we're just taking the 3 measurements. Now it's a little bit hard sometimes to see what 3 measurements because I've got some duplicates. But I want you to think about if you'll get this bottom measurement. Okay, so if I was calculating the area of just the base of this, it would be 2 times 2, and then I'm going to add the height. So 2 times 2 times 3, and that's it. I multiplied 3 things together. They're in feet. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. So this is 12 feet cubed. Length times the base times the height. So we got it all written out. All 3 of these. Let's try another one. Here's a cylinder. And we have to be a little careful with the cylinder because the cylinder has a base that's a circle, and sometimes they're going to give us radius, and sometimes they're going to give us the diameter. So you have to be careful that you might have to adjust this. Okay, so this right here is the radius. So this is R equals 2. So diameter would be 4 because it's twice the distance. So let's see, the formula for a cylinder is pi r squared. So that's the area of a circle, isn't it? So pi r squared. So here's my circle. Okay. So imagine if I turn this sideways. Maybe it's a little easier to see if I turn it sideways. Again, it's kind of like I'm calculating the base, and then this one's going straight up. Okay. So the formula for my circle is pi r squared, and then I'm going to add the height. That's all we're doing to get the volume. So to get the volume, we just multiply by the height. So pi 3.14, radius is 2, this is only going halfway across, times 2 squared times the height of 4. And I'm going to use my calculator. Okay, so pi, and I'm using the function on my calculator. You can use 3.14 times 2 squared times 4, and that gave me 50.265, so I'll say 0.27, 50.27. So the volume of that is 50.27, and that's yards square. That's pretty big, isn't it? Maybe that's a little silo somewhere, I don't know. I'm going to try one more shape. And again, this is just about plugging into formulas. And this time we're going to use a sphere. So we've got a 3-dimensional circle like a ball. And here's my formula. And then here's my actual shape. Now notice this is a good example because what they gave me here is the diameter that goes all the way across. So I need to find what is the radius. So if the diameter is 21.6 meters, then the radius is going to be half of that. So I'm just going to take my calculator and say 21.6 divided by 2, and I got 10.8. So the radius is 10.8. Be careful on these cylinders and spheres because they have They might give you radius or diameter, and you have to be careful which one they gave you. Okay, so I'm just going to write down the formula they gave me. Four-thirds pi r cubed. So I'm going to plug in 4/3 times pi, and the radius is 10.8 cubed. Okay. So let's do this. 4 divided by 3. I'm going to go ahead and put it in parentheses. Times pi times 10.8, and I'm hitting this little up arrow raised to the third. So it's 5,276.67. And that's meters cubed. Meters cubed. Okay, so the main thing you need to know about this is just a beginning understanding, and then we're going to use these formulas here at the bottom, and your units are going to be in cubic units, so it's going to be three-dimensional. Please come to the Zoom meeting. Our Zoom meetings are at 12:30 on Mondays and Wednesdays. I'm going to probably have to start having some required for people that aren't turning their work in. But hopefully you're getting your work done, and come to the meeting. And if you have any questions, you can email me or comment in Google Classroom. Miss you guys, and good luck. Bye-bye.